Hello and welcome to this episode of Real Review. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Woo! You'll get why I did that in a minute. Anyway, in this episode, I will be reviewing one of the most successful cop buddy franchises in history, the Lethal Weapon franchise. It stars Mel Gibson as Riggs and Danny Glover as Murtaugh. It is one of my favorite buddy cop trilogies or quadrilogies, four films. Anyway, yeah, it's one of my favorite. And it was probably Mel Gibson's most successful film, or his first big break into the US markets after he conquered Australia and slightly conquered the world with Mad Max. He'd also done several Australian films, including one of my favorite, Gallipoli. He was probably the first Australian actor to make it big time in Hollywood since Errol Flynn, and he probably paved the way in the modern era for a lot of Australian actors, including Russell Crowe, Kate Blanchett, and Nicole Kidman. The reason for this success is it's quite a simple story. All four films. It's basically about the good guys taking down the bad guys. As my father always says, KISS, keep it stupid simple, or keep it simple stupid. Anyway, simple is always best. There's an onomatopoeia for you. So, like I said, it's basically the success was due to the simplicity, and the success can be shown in the figures at the box office compared to the budget of the films. So, for example, the first film only cost $35 million US to make. Now, in 1987, this, of course, was a lot of money, and adjusted for inflation, this is about $95.9 million. So almost, it was a large number, and so actually that's correct. So 95 would have cost about $95 million to make in today's with inflation. And in terms of its box office, it made $321.7 million globally, which with inflation would equate to 612 million or 612.6 million in today's money. And it goes on with Lethal Weapon 2. It took in $230.6 million at the box office. Adjusted for inflation, $548.4 million, and only cost $30 million to make, which, $5 million less for 2 years later. It was made 3 years later, made in 1989, which is good, which equates to $74.4 million in today's money. Lethal Weapon 3, made in 1992, again, $35 million US to make, which is $74.5 million with inflation, and $321.7 million made at the box office, which is $684 million globally, adjusted for inflation. Now, Lethal Weapon 4, even though it was a major success at the box office, the margins or the percentage that it made on top of what it cost to make, even for the time it was made, which was 1998, was much less, which is why I think the franchise never went on to continue. And I think it's too late to continue because Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are too old. And I wouldn't want to see anybody else step into their roles. I don't want to see this remade, rebooted. I don't want to. I'm sick of seeing films remade, rebooted, franchises continued on. It's just boring. Unless it's like really good, but in today's woke era where everything's made via corporations, I just don't want it to be done. So that obviously the variation was $140 million to make, which is $264.5 million in today's money with inflation, and $285.4 million made at the box office. which adjusted for inflation is $548.85 million. So almost $500 billion. Now, the difference between 1992 and 1998, sure, it was a big difference. And Mel Gibson between that time had made Braveheart, and his star had risen. And it probably cost more to pay him, and also probably more to pay Danny Glover. But the adjustment for for that margin from 35 million, like the $30 million mark for the first three, and then to have it go above $100 million to make for the last one, only between which was not even 15 years, is absolutely crazy. And I'm trying to figure out why. And because the 1992, when Terminator 2 came out, that was the first film that made that cost $100 million to make, but it was justified because the film had to be like all the special effects. They had to invent computers to make those special effects. Where the T-1000 morphs, there wasn't all these committees, is what I'm saying. And if you look at the credits of films now, like they go on and on and on. They're almost like a short film in themselves. Like it can be 15 minutes for a drama, and 25 to 30 minutes for a Marvel feature film. And there's all these superfluous jobs that have been made up, like equity and diversity, chief officer and on set, what do they call it, an on-set the on-set like intimacy coach. Yeah, like there's so many because of the Me Too era. Like everything's been ruined by people claiming victimhood. I'm just so sick of it. But anyway, as I said, like I think with like being able to kiss a woman, and like I don't think I'd want to go on film and kiss a woman these days, because I'd be too afraid to be Me Too, like when I'm 80 years old, by some bitter old hag who's past her prime. But here's Russell Crowe explaining how it should be done like it was in the past.
Do I?
Yes. No. Movie called The Sum of Us.
There had to be a setup on that.
But you have said. You have said that was your favourite screen kiss.
All right. Well, currently the mantle is actually held by Kate Blanchett until further experiences. However, yes, this movie here, The Sum of Us, I play a gay rugby-playing plumber in this film. And that is John Paulson. And I just, after I finished that film, I was just about to go and work with Sharon Stone. And in that movie, I had kissing scenes with her. So in this film, I'm playing the gay, and I have a kissing scene with John. And John came up to me, and he's not gay, and he came up to me and said, "Look, I've never kissed a bloke, Can we practice?" I said, "Johnny, a couple of weeks from now, I'll be over in America. I'll be working with Sharon Stone, right? How do you think it'll go down if I say, Sharon, kissing scene's coming up, mind if we have some practice?" And I said, "Here's the way to do it, mate. You close your eyes, I'll close my eyes, we'll just come together, and I bet we remember how to do it." So that's how we do it.
That's beautiful.
So, as I was saying, it doesn't take much to be able to kiss somebody, but because of the Me Too movement, now we have to have these intimacy coaches, or even if we didn't, I'd want like a signed document with all these legal things. It's all just become too complicated, and you have to pay lawyers, and so it increases the budget, because I'm not going to dip out of my pocket as an actor to pay lawyers to cover my ass for the rest of my career. Like, why can't we just be like this?
Just for tonight, we weren't co-workers. We were co-people.
I don't.
Shh. You be a woman. I'll be a man. That's all.
You continue to surprise me, Mr. Burgundy.
See, it's not goddamn hard. Anyway, so in terms of, as I was saying, you know, Mel Gibson was our first successful actor. He started here at a school when he was younger. Probably, it is our best acting school, followed closely by WAPO, which is where Hugh Jackman went. Here's a photo of the school, the front of the school, and that entire wing that you see there. It was actually built by, when it first started, it was like a little shed, but that entire glass front, and there's a wing and a theater that was donated by Mel Gibson. He paid $2 million to make it back in the late 90s, early 2000s as a thank you to his time there. And there's some more. This is like a photo of, you know, the young Mel Gibson before he became famous, practicing on stage, probably doing one of his assignments, to do a play. And at the end of your time there, you put on a performance, and all the agents in Australia come and have a look and see who they want to sign onto their books. And obviously, here's a poster that he donated and signed to the school. So yeah, and why is Lethal Weapon called Lethal Weapon? Well, this clip explains it all.
Said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Hey, look, friend, let's just cut the shit. Now, we both know why I was transferred. Everybody thinks I'm suicidal, in which case I'm...
Back up here. Yeah, sorry about that. So let me say that again. Which of the Lethal Weapons films was your favorite? So, and then what else have we got here? Oh yeah, this is kind of like an homage. What I did at the front of this stream. This is the homage.
Get $100,000. $100,000. Did you hear what he said?
100,000? I'm sorry, I can't afford that, not on my salary. But look, I'll tell you what, I got a better idea. Here, let me say I take the whole stash off your hands for free. And you assholes can go to jail.
Hey,
what do you say about that? Now I could read you guys your rights, but nah, you guys already know what your rights are, don't you?
This badge ain't real. You ain't real.
Oh, you sure are a crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah. You think I'm crazy?
Yeah.
You calling me crazy? You think I'm crazy? Yeah, you want to see crazy? I'll tell you. Now, that's a real badge. I'm a real cop, and this is a real fucking gun.
So yeah, that was a scene from the first film, and one of my favorite scenes from all of the franchise, and the one that often gets quoted the most, is from this clip here.
Come on, it's been a bad day. Show me your hands. Show me your fucking hands.
Take it easy, officer. I'm not armed. I won't resist. Put down your guns, gentlemen. It's all right. Do as I say.
Get your hands in your head. Come on. Lace them behind your head.
You have no idea what you are doing.
Oh, I wouldn't worry too much about that. We're professional police officers. We do this for a living.
My name is Arjun Radha. I'm Minister of Diplomatic Affairs for the South African Consulate.
Diplomatic community.
South Africa, Raj, the home of the Kruger.
Everybody always
Among
says
other
that.
things, these gentlemen also work for the consulate. Would you like to see our diplomatic credentials?
Come on!
Hey!
Stand still. Yeah, hold him out. Don't do that. Don't.
Anyway, I think you've got the message there. And then there's also the bad guys from the third film. I think I've got them here. So here are the bad guys from the third film.
Hey, wait here for me. Look around you, Tyrone. This is my dream, and it's all coming true.
You sank your money into this all the way out here in the middle of the fucking desert.
That's right. You know why it's going to be such a little gold mine?
Do tell me.
Because nobody wants to live next door to people like you anymore. You're a menace to society, Tyrone.
Look, Jack, I came out here to do business, not be insulted by you.
Relax, Tyrone. Just like houses, friendships need strong foundations. Hey, Smitty, come here. Come here.
Yeah, I'll fast forward this so you see what actually happens. So he kills this guy because
now we got a relationship we can build on. Employee problems. You know how it is.
And of course, in the third and final one, we finally have a bad guy. Sorry, in the fourth and final one, we finally have a bad guy who isn't white because, you know, white men are always bad these days and always. Obviously, the white men from different countries have been bad. You know, during the Cold War era, it was Russia. You know, obviously in the 80s, it was South Africa or crooked cops because, you know, South Africa was full of white supremacists, you know, with the apartheid laws there. And of course, in the late 90s, early 2000s, China was bad. And now white men are bad again. And I'm just sick and tired of it because it's this sustained attack on white men. You know, not all of us are bad. We're quite good people. Anyway, here's a clip of Jet Li. That's Anyway, I'll stop it there because it might be disturbing for some viewers. But as I've said, you know, I've talked about, you know, how budgets are overblown because films are being made by committees and, you know, white men are always portrayed as bad or the majority of the time they're portrayed as bad in films these days. So I'm asking you, how do you think we can fix the film industry? Obviously, I think one of the most important things is to get rid of all these ESG scores. They're destroying art, you know, because now before you even write a film, you have to tick about 34 boxes, and that kills creativity. And also the Me Too movement has to come to an end because, you know, there's always going to be scum in every industry, but, you know, that doesn't mean we have to target everybody. So, yeah, just tell me what you think of that. And that's it for this week. So next week, I will be reviewing my favorite film of all time, which is LA Confidential. The reason it's my favorite film is because I just think it's one of the most perfectly filmed films, written, acted, performed. Everything just came together to blend into a perfect story and a perfect piece of art, as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for joining me on Real Review for this episode. And remember to keep the real real.